With so many options available to you as a self-published author for distributing your ebooks, your print books, and audiobooks, it just can sometimes be so overwhelming. And I want to kind of demystify this whole thing. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to just discuss about where to publish your ebook, where to publish your print book, and where to publish your audiobook. And today we're going to be focused on ebook distribution in particular, because there are so many options. And a lot of people think that it's just Amazon KDP or bust. And believe it or not, it shouldn't just be that option alone. So we're going to discuss that in today's podcast.
Learn how to publish books and build your author business with award-winning author and self-publishing consultant Dale L. Roberts. This is the Self-Publishing with Dale podcast.
There's still time to enter for your chance to win a formatting and layout design package by Miblart worth up to $460 and a spotlight in a future video when you visit dalelinks.com/giveaway. This third giveaway of a 4-part series culminates in a premium cover design package valued at $700. If you missed the deadline for the current giveaway, enter the next one so you do not miss out. Let's cover a few misunderstandings and myths about publishing ebooks online today before we dive into the right platforms to leverage for your ebook. First, when you publish your ebook to Amazon KDP, you are not limited to just that platform so long as you do not opt your ebook into KDP Select. Now, let me be clear about this. The KDP Select program is an exclusivity program for ebooks and only affects the enrolled ebooks and not any other books you publish through KDP. So that means that if you distribute an ebook through KDP Select, it does not affect the distribution of the print book or the audiobook. It's just that ebook. Now, for the sake of today's discussion, I'm going to be talking about beyond KDP Select, although we'll probably talk about it just real briefly here. Now, next, ISBNs are inessential for most platforms, so you don't have to sweat buying one unless you want to keep your titles uniform across all platforms. Trust me, this tiny detail isn't going to be noticed by most browsing customers online, so you don't need to get hung up on it. And finally, you don't have to publish your ebook through every major ebook distribution platform. Choose what most interests you. Then add or subtract avenues you feel best fit your business goals. It's not an all or nothing type of thing here, folks. In fact, I'm going to highlight the major ebook publishing platforms and give you a few honorable mentions for consideration. For instance, if you're time-strapped, uploading your title to every single platform might not make sense. In that case, you might want to consider aggregate distribution platforms like, say, Draft2Digital, StreetLib, or PublishDrive for your needs, and I'm going to talk about them here shortly. So here are the 10 best platforms for publishing your ebooks in no particular order of importance. Let's get the very first one out the way. Number 1, Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. Of course, Amazon KDP is the 10-ton gorilla in the room, and a lot of authors already flock to the platform, so I'm not telling you anything you already know. You get a 70% royalty for any ebooks priced between $2.99 and $9.99. If you price your book outside that range, you get 35%. That stinks. I don't know about you, but I personally think that sucks. I recommend if you have a book you want to price above KDP's 70% royalty price range, go with another platform. There are many more merchandising opportunities on platforms beyond the Amazon marketplace. So don't bargain basement price your ebook just because distribution is through KDP. Now, KDP currently distributes ebooks to 13 regions in Amazon and nowhere else, meaning you're just going to reach Amazon. That's it. If you want to have your book in libraries or other websites, KDP is not your solution. They only handle Amazon for ebooks. And if you're unfamiliar, KDP does have unique promotional opportunities for ebooks enrolled in the KDP Select program, as I mentioned before. But rather than cover that, I can refer you to any of my previous broadcasts or videos where I talked about it extensively. I am not a fan of KDP Select and have only a few ebooks enrolled there. Typically, I'm too lazy to publish an ebook beyond KDP, so I'll just opt into the KDP Select program. So that's why they've stayed in that program. Otherwise, I like to go as wide as possible for my ebooks and avoid using KDP Select since it limits my reach. As for ease of use, they're dead simple. And even if you're lost, you can find thousands of online articles, videos, and the KDP help page to walk you through it. All right, number 2, Apple Books for Authors. Now, in years past, you had to have Apple products in order to access distribution via Apple. Not anymore. More recently, they rolled out the Apple Books for Authors platform that welcomes all authors, whether you're on PC or on Mac. Apple pays a 70% royalty for ebooks with no pricing limitations and reaches 50 countries by way of the Apple Marketplace. Sadly, getting access to it and publishing through them isn't very intuitive. You have to have an Apple ID, and you access the author tools through 2 different platform interfaces. It's kind of weird. It's real wonky. I'd love to see Apple do a better job of removing friction for account holders. In the meantime, it's not terrible, but it's definitely a really good option. Number 3, Kobo Writing Life. Now, Kobo Writing Life is possibly my favorite of the ones mentioned in this list because of how intuitive the user interface is and the direct integration with Overdrive. Now, Overdrive, you're probably like, what's the deal here? A library distribution company that reaches over 88,000 libraries, schools, and retail stores. That's huge to me. I like getting my book into libraries. It's the nerdy part of me that likes to get in there. But Kobo pays 70% for ebooks priced above $2.99. Anything priced below that gets 45% per sale, which isn't too bad when compared to KDP Select, about 10% more. And you get a 50% royalty through Overdrive by way of Kobo. Now, Kobo has unique promotional opportunities that all account holders have access to at no extra cost, where some authors have benefited greatly from using it. Just make sure you check those opportunities every month. Now, Kobo Writing Life distributes to over 190 countries and seems to be actively expanding that reach with every year. The one unique feature KWL, or Kobo Writing Life, has is the Kobo Plus program, where you can enroll your ebook in a lending program. It's like KDP Select without the exclusivity. So if you're looking to reach a different reading audience, consider enrolling your ebook in Kobo Plus. Now, number 4. Barnes & Noble Press. Barnes & Noble Press distributes ebooks to over 12 regions at a 70% royalty with no exclusivity or pricing requirements. It's really, really nice. The interface is a little clunky and dated, but otherwise it's still usable for the most part. Now, number 5 is Google Play Books. Google Play Books has treated me well over the years. They distribute ebooks to over 75 countries, seemingly the widest reach of all the platforms, barring one I'll share in the honorable mentions later on. They give you a 70% royalty with no restrictions on pricing or exclusivity. Similar to Apple Books for Authors interface, Google Play Books' interface is a little confusing, but they have exemplary live chat support. I really like their support. Use it. It'll save you so much time. So you get in there, you get lost, just use the live support feature. Now, number 6 is going to be a 2-for-1 deal, and I'm going to explain why here in a second. It's Drafted Digital and Smashwords. Now, we shift into the aggregate publishing platforms, and what better way than through my 2 preferred avenues of Drafted Digital and Smashwords. The reason they share a spot together is because D2D, also known as Drafted Digital, acquired Smashwords last year and are currently merging the 2 platforms. So when I speak about Drafted Digital or D2D, it's kind of all inclusive. It's including Smashwords as well. Now, right now, D2D reaches dozens of international markets and platforms like Amazon, Apple, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and so much more. They have the best reach for library distribution with a few great options like Overdrive, Hoopla, Biblioteca, Palace Marketplace, among others. I personally use D2D for distribution for libraries alone. It's fantastic. Now, keep in mind, for most aggregate publishing platforms, that platform acts as a middleman, distributing your ebook on your behalf. As mentioned earlier, using an aggregate publisher is a great way to save time and hassle. You get one dashboard, one sales report, and only one area to publish or update your ebooks. If you're doing all the other ones, and you have to update an ebook, maybe you found a typo, you're going to have to get all those different platforms. And it's a pain in the butt. Trust me, I've been through the process before. Now, they provide roughly a 90% royalty for all net profits, meaning that each platform they distribute to will take their cut. Then D2D takes 10% from that final amount, and you collect about 90% of each sale. Drafted Digital has a killer user interface and offers options for cash-strapped authors through their automated interior formatting tools with hundreds of templates for authors to choose. I've talked about that feature for years now, and I continue to stand behind that. Really, really good. Stay tuned to this channel about updates and news rolling out from Drafted Digital because I keep a close ear to Drafted Digital, and I'm telling you, one of my favorite platforms. Big shout out to all my family over at Drafted Digital. Love you guys. Number 7, Publish Drive. Now, this next aggregate publishing platform functions differently than the previous in that you pay a monthly fee for a set number of titles to gain distribution to dozens of different retail platforms. In turn, you collect 100% of net profits from dozens of retailers available through Publish Drive, including Amazon, Apple, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Books, Kobo, and Scribden, among many others. Now, something that Publish Drive has that's unique is reach into China. So if you're looking to get into that country, this is one of the few ways. I love Publish Drive's interface. It's dead simple and easy to go through. My only qualm with Publish Drive is they are not appropriate for all authors. If you're a new author, I recommend, easy for me to say, I recommend looking into other avenues beyond Publish Drive. But if you have a built-in following, this might be your choice. Number 8, StreetLib. Oh, we're burning through this list really quick here, folks. I'm just getting to know more about the StreetLib platform. In fact, actually, this coming interview with Julie Trelstad, I'm going to probably say this again later on, I actually sat down. She's in charge of U.S. distribution for StreetLib, and this is a really good interview, so make sure that you are subscribed or follow me on your preferred podcasting platform. Now, similar to the previous 2 platforms I mentioned, they're an aggregate distributor that reaches over 50 online retailers, digital libraries, and subscription apps reaching over 250 outlets and over 50,000 consumer points worldwide. They give a 60% royalty for every book sale, with 10% going to StreetLib and 30% going to the online bookstore that sells your ebook. That makes it really, really, really simple because a lot of the aggregate distribution, you're kind of like net profits of this and that, and they're like, no, it's just straight up just 60%. Now, this Europe-based company has been growing massively over the past couple of years. So stay tuned to this channel for updates. And as I mentioned before, there will be an interview with Julie Trelstad, the U.S. distribution manager at StreetLib. It's a really good interview. I'm looking forward to you actually hearing it. Now, number 9, old school one here, Lulu. Lulu's been around for a long time. Don't be confused with Lululemon. This is Lulu Press. Now, Lulu distributes ebooks to Amazon, Apple Books, Barnes & Noble, Scribd, Kobo, Apple, Google, and the Lulu bookstore for 80% of net profits. Now, since Lulu acts as a middleman, you will see less royalties like the other aggregate publishers. But if you make a sale through the Lulu bookstore, you get 80% with no exceptions. There's no aggregation or anything else like that, so it's pretty good. Does their bookstore have decent organic reach? It's debatable. But having your ebook listed without any cost is no loss to you, so you might as well just give it a shot. Now, number 10, this is one I've actually been kind of keeping a pulse on for the past year. It's Letterpress. This platform provides the best option for ebook royalties with 100% of any sale you refer. If Letterpress refers a customer to you that buys, they take only 5%. Letterpress is a relatively new addition to the self-publishing industry, but they've been making slow improvements to their platform. As for reach, you'll have to send the traffic or rely on Letterpress to drive organic traffic. I really like what Letterpress is doing. I would really love to see them get audiobook distribution eventually. But, beggars can't be choosers. And considering that they give you 100% of every sale, and they're managing all the hosting and all that type of stuff, I think it's a no-brainer. Now, there are some honorable mentions I want to bring up here real quick. Now, one of them includes IngramSpark. A lot of people probably are like, why didn't you mention IngramSpark? It's for good reason. First of all, it's a 40% royalty, and they have the widest reach of all of the platforms. In fact, IngramSpark just reaches every nook and cranny of the world. But the problem is they are an all or nothing platform, meaning that if you choose to go with IngramSpark, all right, then you're going to have to avoid going individually to platforms like Apple or Barnes & Noble or Kobo or any of those other ones I've previously mentioned. You don't want to have duplicate publishing. By the way, some people might even say, hey, can I use all of these? Make sure that if you are using all of them, that there's no cross-pollination, meaning that you're not uploading to Kobo Writing Life and then using IngramSpark to go to Kobo, because then there's going to be some redundancies, and a lot of platforms don't like that. Personally, I'm not a fan of IngramSpark for ebook distribution. That is just my opinion, though. Feel free to do some investigation. Now, I covered this not too long ago over on my main channel. You can visit my main channel at dalelinks.com/YouTube. But I talked about a new YouTube integration for anybody in the YouTube Partner Program. There is the integration of what's called Spring and Shopify. Now, I had actually a viewer that brought up that they couldn't be able to do ebook distribution or digital distribution through Spring to their YouTube store. Now, I should have probably mentioned to this person that actually I discovered the same issue. I had actually used Spring as integration with my YouTube channels, and for whatever reason, it got rejected. So then I just removed distribution for that, and then I just put it back in, and for whatever reason, ebook distribution came back up again. Worst case scenario, you always have something like Shopify. Shopify will actually do digital products, and it will do print products through places like, say, Lulu, Book Vault, Vervante, and so on. So think about that. If you are part of the YouTube Partner Program or doing any type of publishing on YouTube for videos, start to lean towards that direction. I've actually had a pretty decent amount of sales through ebooks on the platform. So I'm really excited about what that has to offer. Now, the other two, I'm going to go ahead and mention them back to back because they're so similar: Gumroad and Payhip. Let me start with Gumroad because I have plenty of experience on Gumroad. Gumroad has a lot of organic reach. And if you are taking the same description that you're utilizing and same keywords you're utilizing through other platforms like, say, Amazon KDP and putting on Gumroad, the nice thing is Gumroad will actually send you organic traffic. I've had a few sales here and there of my books on there. Really, really happy. Now, as far as the percentage goes, I think they do, it might be like a 9% fee that they do, as well as like, I don't know, like a distribution fee of some sort. It's pretty good. It's very comparable to something like, say, for instance, a Later Press, although Later Press doesn't really take a percentage unless they make the sale. Payhip is very similar as well. Each of those platforms function on a different type of a tier system, so you'll want to go and visit their platforms. I recommend that if you're doing any type of site sales, consider doing Payhip for distribution because they actually will integrate with a lot of different websites. Gumroad, I'm sure there's some workarounds, but Payhip seems to be the path of least resistance. Now, one small tip: use a universal book link, folks. Even if you don't use any of these avenues or you just use one of them, use a universal book link when you're sharing your ebooks. Books to Read, that's the number 2. Books to Read, all one word. It's a draft to digital company. It's a free resource for authors that allows them to share one link that guides readers to their preferred retailer and their specific region. Here's the biggest issue. If you're sending Amazon.com link to everybody in the world, the problem is say someone in the UK or in Australia clicks on that link, they're going to go to the US store where they cannot buy that. So remove that friction. Use a universal book link. Visit books2read.com for more details. It's free, by the way, folks. All you need is your draft a digital account and it gets it all set up. I use universal book links for all of my books. Real quick here, even though it's only been about roughly 15 minutes or so since I last mentioned it, you can still enter for a chance to win a formatting and layout design package by Miblart worth up to $460 when you visit dalelinks.com/giveaway. The deadline is August 1st of 2023. Enter daily to increase your odds of winning. In fact, all the previous winners had multiple entries, so you can do this daily. Every day you can go in. So go visit that link. Get yourself, entered there. Also, your first entry, you need to make sure that you confirm that entry because otherwise it won't count. It's our way to kind of make sure we get rid of any kind of spam bots or anything else like that. Good luck, and I'm rooting for you. Here are my final thoughts about where to publish your ebooks. If your primary goal as an author is to get more readers, consider publishing your ebook on as many platforms as possible. I know there are a lot of people that just go all in when it comes to Amazon KDP, but folks, that doesn't butter everybody's bread, all right? There is a choice few who are pulling in a lot of money through KDP and through the KDP Select program, but they are usually the exception to the rule. I believe authors should test their ebook in the KDP Select program, but do so with some level of cautious optimism. If you're not getting any value from the program, I recommend you pull it. But here's a big but. Only do it if you plan on keeping your book out of the program indefinitely. Nothing discourages the KDP alternative platforms like an author who constantly pulls their ebook in and out of distribution. Amazon doesn't mind it, but their competitors just might. A great book to pick up about wide publishing is called Wide for the Win by Mark Leslie Lefebvre. I am, by the way, a huge fan of him. He goes granular on the process and his insights are well informed. In fact, Mark is the founder of Kobo Writing Life. I mentioned them. And also the current director of business development at Drafted Digital. Mentioned them too. So I got a link inside the show notes if you want to go ahead and get yourself a copy of Wide for the Win. I highly recommend. It is such a great book. Mark is actually an excellent writer. I've read some of his other stuff, but that's a really good one if you're looking at trying to distribute wide. And this includes ebooks, audiobooks, and print books that he covers. Join me next week when we'll be discussing where to publish your print books, including all the details about royalties, print options, and more. The week after next, we'll be taking a brief rest from the 3-part series when I celebrate the 200th episode of this podcast with USA Today bestselling author Nick Thacker. Nick is going to share the keys to launching a best-selling book. It'll be a deep dive, so you do not want to miss it. Till then, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the Self-Publishing with Dale podcast. Visit us at selfpublishingwithdale.com for more information on how you can level up your self-publishing business. Also, check out our growing video-on-demand service, chock full of free and premium content, when you head over to theselfpublishinghub.com. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on your preferred podcasting platform. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.